Hello folks, my name is Brian Bennett. I'm an author of 11 books that are available on Amazon at the moment. You can view them on my website, Brian Bennett Books. Today, this is a video which is going to be one of three, and I'm hopefully going to make you laugh, because the stories that I'm going to tell you are all true, and they're all from my book, A Badsey Boy, which I know many of you have already read. But for those that haven't read this book, it is full of true funny stories, and I'm going to do my best to tell you them today. I'm going to start with two stories involving my brother, who's now unfortunately no longer with us. The first story goes back a long way to when we had wicker baskets. You can tell how long ago that is. And it's due the 16th. That's the opening day of the fishing season. We are walking through the fields towards our favourite pegs on Lister water. It's very early in the morning. It's only just got light, and the mist is rolling off the river. It's so thick you can't see anything. The only way you know you're going straight is by looking at your footsteps behind you in the dew. So we're walking across this field. It's dead quiet. There's not a sound. And all of a sudden we hear, I thought, what the freaking hell's that? My brother looked at me and I looked at him and I said, I don't like the sound of that, kid. He said, I ain't too keen either. He said, let's head towards the edge, because we know over on the right hand side there's a hedge, and in that hedge somewhere is a 5-bar gate. So we carried on walking a little bit, but edging over to the right, and we hear, and then we hear, and I said, come on kid, let's run. So, because I know what's coming. And we start running towards this edge. We get to the edge and we're running up this edge, and we come to this 5-bar gate, and I'm over the top with all my fishing gear on. I'm landing a big heap the other side, and my brother comes over the gate and he lands in a big heap just as his ball hits the gate. Bang! I'm laying there and I'm untangling myself from all my fishing stuff, and I looked at my brother and he's got the strap of his box around his neck. He's red in the face and he's clawing at his throat. So I've untangled him and we looked at this bull, and this bull is snorting. He's got flames and steam coming out of his nose, and his eyeballs are rolling, and he's headbutting the gate and he's ripping clumps of grass out the ground. And my brother said, bloody hell kid. I said, what's up mate? He says, I wish I had a pair of bollocks like that. Ah dear. My brother phoned me up one Saturday morning. He said, what are you doing kid? I said, nothing mate. He said, I'll pick you up, we're going pike fishing. I said, I've never been pike fishing. He said, I've watched Marseilles this morning. It looks easy. I said, fair enough. So he comes and picks me up, and we go to the tackle shop and we buy a couple of brass copper spoons and some wire traces, and off we go to Birmingham. We ties these things on, and as we mess about with them in the water, I said, I'll go this way, you go that way. He said, okay. So off we go, chucking these things and reeling them back and what have you. And I hear, kid! So I reels in and goes running around the bank. And I guess to him, sure enough, his rod's bent over, and then this pike comes out of the water, tail walking. And I said, bloody hell, mate, that's a big one. He said, get the net, get the net. So I get the net. And we get this thing in the net, and we get it on the bank. It's 11, 12 pound. And we're both stood looking at us. What do we do now? He says, well, we've got to get the hooks out. Well, I said, well, how do we do that? He said, well, Matt Hayes had one of these things, but he put it in his mouth and held his mouth open. I said, have we got one of them? He said, no. I said, so what are we going to do then? I said, because we've got to get the hooks out. He said, I'll tell you what, he says. I'll hold it between my knees and then hold his mouth open, you put your hand in. I said, piss off. I said, he said, all them teeth in there. He said, no, it'll be fine. He said, it'll be fine. Trust me, he said, it'll be fine. So he gets down and he's got this pipe between his legs and he forces this thing's mouth open. And trust me, there's a lot of teeth in there. And they're all facing backwards. I said, mate, I don't like the look of this. He said, no, be fine, carry on, be fine. Well, I gradually slid my hand into this pipe's mouth. And it was fine until I touched the hooks. As soon as I touched the hooks, this thing's gone fucking mad. It started flapping. My brothers fell over backwards onto the grass, and this pipe's clamped its gob onto my mouth. And all these teeth are dug into my mouth. And it's thrashing around. I'm laying on the floor, and this pipe is thrashing all over the place. And it's jumping and thrashing, and I can feel it ripping strands out of my hands, and I'm going, get it off! And my brother is dancing round like a big girl. I said, get the fucking thing off! Get it off! And he dives on this pipe, stops it bouncing around in the pain in my hand. And he opens this, forces his pipe's mouth off my hand. And there's blood and snot everywhere. And there's great big gouges in my hand, and there's white teeth from this pipe stuck in my hand. And he gets a towel at the bag and wraps it around my hand. I said, what are we going to do now, kid? He says, I would have to kill it. He said, well, kill it. I said, well, what do you mean we'll kill it? He said, well, I was going to kill it anyway because Matty said they were good eating. I said, well, why didn't we kill it before it fucking bit me? He said, I never thought of that. Anyway, kills this point, gets the hooks out, takes it home, A&E, right, walks into A&E, there's blood coming at my hand, and it's all swelling up, and it's red, and he goes into the cubicle, and this nurse pulls all these teeth out, asks me if I wanted to keep them. I said, no, thank you. And she cleans it all up, disinfects it, and puts all these butterfly stitches on my hand, and it's all swollen and horrible. And she wrapped it all up in a bandage, and I said, thank you very much. She said, hang on. She said, hang on. I said, what? She said, drop your trousers. I said, what? She said, drop your trousers. I said, what for? She said, I've got to give you a tetanus injection. Jesus Christ, that hurt more than the frigging pike. Anyway, I saw my brother a couple of days later. I said, what was your pike like, mate? He said, God, bloody horrible. He said it was so bad the cats wouldn't even eat it. But it was worth it. It was an experience. Next one, Sailor. Mr. Woods. Victor. He said he kept on and on and on and on and on at me to go pike fishing. It's cold, it's in the middle of winter. And he's on the phone all the time. We gotta go. And in the end, it's January, and I said, okay, I know where there's a place where we can go, because most of the lakes by then were frozen over. But there's a place in Droitwich that was spring fed. So I phoned the farmer, I said, is there any clear water? He said, yeah, but half the lake, he said. I said, can I come over? He said, you what? I said, can we come over and go fishing? He said, you mad? I said, I'll tell him about it, Victor. He said, go, take the boat, enjoy yourself. I ain't even going to charge you. So I agreed with Victor and I'll go and pick him up. So I picked him up, takes him over to the Droitwich. Gets in a boat, and half the pool's frozen. And it is cold. It is freezing. I said, hey, stop in long, Victor. He said, we'll just have an hour. I said, an hour? Anyway, I started fishing, and I'd got mittens on, and they were soaking wet and cold, and it was horrible. It was horrible. And we're fishing away, and I said, after about 20 minutes, I said, you had enough yet? He said, no, another 10 minutes. So fishing away, and I've got one. So I've got one. Pulls it, drags it into the boat, get to the bottom of the boat, and I've got a stainless steel priest then. Somebody had made it for me. It was weighed about 7 pounds. And it was a beast. If you hit them too hard, their eyes used to fly out. That's how bad it was. So I get this thing, bam, gives it a smack, puts it in a bag, hangs it on the rollock, starts fishing again. I said, you had enough yet, Victor? No, I want to stay a bit longer, So I'm fishing away. I've got another one. So gets out the boat, smack, in the bag. I said, you had enough yet, Victor? No. 10 minutes. I said, look, I'm froze. I said, 10 minutes and we're going. All right, he said, okay, 10 minutes. So I'm fishing away. All of a sudden, I got one. I look round and his rod's bent over and he's playing this fish. And gets the fish in the net and gets it in the bottom of the boat. He picks my metal priest, or my stainless steel priest, grabs out the trout. He lifts the priest. He's just going to hit it, and the trout is obviously seen what was coming, and starts moving. And Victor's gone whack, and he hit his finger with his priest. He's dropped this priest in the bottom of the boat, grabbed his finger. Oh, I've grabbed my finger. That's awful. I said, let's have a look. He said, no, I didn't let go of it. It's broke. So I said, oh, Jesus Christ. So I rows us back to the thing and puts all the stuff in the car and turns the boat over. And off it goes home. I got the heater on in the car and I kept saying, let's have a look, Vic, let's have a look. We got as far as Pimvin. And we stopped at the traffic lights and I said, Victor, let me have a look. So he lifts his hand off his finger. Fair enough, his finger was purple. And it was about 3 times its normal size. And where it had actually been hit was a white line. A white line of this purple mass. He's clamped his hand over again. I said, do you want to go to A&E or do you want to go home? He said, take me home. So I takes him home and I takes his stuff out the car and bangs on his kitchen door and I walks in. I said, he's okay. I said, he's okay. But he's had a bit of an accident. I said, but he's okay. And we looked down the path and Victor's coming up path, doing these little baby steps, holding his finger. I thought he was going to cry. So he walks in, sits down in the chair. She said, what have you done? He said, I've hurt my finger. I think it's broke. She said, let me have a look. He takes his hand off his finger. And she looked at it and she grabbed the hand. She said, that's not broke. Victor was screaming like a little girl. Anyway, but it was okay because it was only badly bruised. So, you know, it ended up a good day because I've got a story to tell. But that's the end of it. So we're going to move on now to, I'm sat at home one Friday evening and the phone rings. And a bloke wants me to step into a club match. Because they're short one man. So I said, okay, because I hadn't got anything on that day. And the match was at Twyford anyway, which is my favourite venue. So I said yes. So I drew peg 122. And nice peg, stick float down the middle, loads of fish. The bloke above me wasn't exactly very good, to be honest. I never saw him catch a fish. And we're about 2 hours into the match. And he chucks the feeder out. Now the feeder, for those of you who are not fishermen, A feeder is a plastic tube that's got lead. Remember that, it's got lead on the side. So when you cast it in, you fill it with maggots or ground bait or whatever. You cast it in, it sinks to the bottom, and the lead keeps it in one place. So that the flow takes all the maggots out your feeder, and your line with your hook on is down here, so it's all in one place. And the fish come along, and that's how you catch it. So I'm fishing away, and I looked down, and I looked again because I couldn't quite believe what I was seeing. Well, this bloke's feeder above was right in front of me. I can see his feeder, I can see his maggots coming out of his feeder and everything. It's just under the surface. So I gave it a little tap with the end of my rod, and he strikes. He's shaking his head. This bloke hadn't got any lead on his feeder, so instead of it sinking to the bottom, it was staying on the top and just coming round with the flow, so it was down the side in front of me. I'm thinking, this is going to be a good bit of fun. I'd already caught enough fish to win the match, so it was okay. So I stood there and I'm waiting for this, he casting again, I'm waiting for this feeder to come round. And sure enough, it comes round in front of me, and I gave it a tap, and he strikes, and he's shaking his head, and I start laughing by this time. I'm really laughing, and it's come round again, and I thought, I can't do it again. I looked at this bloke, and he's like, by his rod. And I thought, I'll give it a tap. So give it a tap. He's striking, and he's stamping his feet, he's railing it as quick as he can and doing all this business. Well, this has gone on for about an hour, and I'm red in the face by now. And two of my teammates come along, Mal Watson and Paul Casmore. And I said, what are you laughing at, Benny? I said, just come down here and watch this. And they came down the bank and they sat by the side. They said, what are we looking at? I said, hang on. And I hear plop above. I said, get ready. And sure enough, this swim feeder comes round in front of me. And I said, there you are, look at that. And they both looked at this feeder and looked at this bloke above, and he sat there, ready to strike. He's keyed up, he's in the heat of the moment. And I said, just watch him and I'll give him a tap. And he strikes and he's stamping his feet and he's talking to himself. And he's Mr. Angry and he's getting really pissed off. And they started laughing. And of course I started laughing. And my boss said, how long has this been going on, Benny? And I said, oh, an hour. And Cassie says, go and tell him. I said, no, I ain't telling him. I said, I'm having too much fun. Anyway, it's gone on basically to the end of the match. And this bloke above me is not caught a fish. And I packed up and I got enough fish to win the match. And I walked up to this bloke above me and I says, do any good, mate? I said, do any good? He said, nah. He said, I've had a bite every chuck for the last 2.5 hours. He said, not it, one of them. That's nasty, isn't it? Talking about feeding fishing, I was asked to go and present the prizes at a big electrical company's annual fishing contest, again at Twyford. And I'd done the draw and started the match. And I was walking back and forth and on the bank, giving advice if anybody asked me. And I got to about, it was peg 112. Peg 112, you have to go down the bank and then along to your platform. So that the platform is actually about 15 feet below you. the platform's up. It's about 15 feet. And I'm walking along, and this bloke on the peg has got this big feeder on. Big white feeder with a lot of lead. It's got a lot of lead on the side. And he's just about to cast him. I just happened to be walking past. And he swung his feeder back and he got whash. And it's come round and it's hit him straight between the eyes. He'd obviously got the line cut around his handle or somewhere. And it's took this bloke straight off his box. He's gone over backwards. He's lay there moaning. Oh, his legs and his legs are still on top of the box. There's maggots, there's casters, there's ground bait, there's bait everywhere. There's broken poles, there's broken rods. He's laying all this mess. Me, I'm on my knees. I can't breathe. I'm red in the face. I'm laughing so much. I thought I was going to die. And I finally was able to take a breath. And I crossed to the edge and I looked through parts of the grass like this. And this bloke, he sat on his box. And he's looking at all his broken tackle and he's putting bits of pole together and all sorts of stuff. I thought I'd best just walk away and let him get on with it. So anyhow, I walks off and the day's finished and we've come to the presentation evening and I presented the prizes and done what I've got to do, and this bloke has got this lump on his head. It's like, you know, they said half an egg. Well, this was like half of 2 eggs. It was huge and it was purple and it was stuck out of his head. And he's telling all his mates about something or other to do with this lump. And he went to the bar. So I went and stood next to him. I said, bloody hell, mate. I said, that looks a bit rough. And he said, yeah. And he said, I was walking to my peg. He said, and this barge got caught in my rod bag and it swung round and smacked me. If he's watching this, he now knows that he's telling a lie. Ah, dear. I was presenting the prizes on the Ladies National. I'd done the draw. I was going to start the match with it. And I was still talking to 2 stewards, and there's 2 women in front of us. 2 women fishermen in front of us. The one on the left got a lovely peg. And she got a little platform, 2 bushes, looked lovely. The woman on the right, however, had got a long platform. And on the right was a cattle drink. And it was full of piss and shit. And it stunk to high heaven. There was millions of flies all over it. It was full of water. It was just a horrible mess. And there's about 5 minutes to go before I blew that beep, 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 to start the match. And this woman's got off her box and she's come halfway on a platform. Drops her over trousers, drops her jeans, drops her pants, and squats down to have a piss. And we stood looking, and all of a sudden her hands come out like that. Then they went like that. And they went like that. And then they went like that. She got over backwards. All you heard was splat. And she got into all this piss and shit and she lay there. And all I could see was the heels of her wellies still stuck on the platform. I'm on my knees, I've gone. I can't breathe, I'm red in the face. It's just so funny. And these other 2 stewards have gone running over to try and help get this woman out of this mess. And they was pulling, and because it was so wet, the suction was holding her in, and they couldn't get her out. I've walked off and left them to it. And as I've walked off towards the fence, this woman on the other peg has given me a bollocking for not starting the match on time. So, sorry the match. But I was just, they had to get, oh, by the way, they had to get a rope round her to get her out. That's how bad it was. Bert. Now, you know, I have these problems when I start laughing so much I can't breathe. I get red in the face. This is Bert. Now, Bert is a proper countryman. He just knows about everything. And I was up in Scotland in my lorry. And on the Saturday evening, there was a ladies' night. It was to raise money for a child that had got special needs. And my wife had volunteered me to be a waiter. Well, all I'd got to wear was an apron. And that was it. I had a pen and a pad apparently to take orders for drinks. Fetch the drinks. That was it. That was my job. Which I don't mind doing. That's fine. I'm quite happy with that. I get home from Scotland on Friday morning, walks in. She says, my wife, oh, you know that thing tomorrow night? I said, yeah. She said, somebody's dropped out. And I said, you do something. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, you do something. I said, well, like what? She said, well, you're the brains of the operation. You think of something. So I phoned Bert. I said, Bert, what are you doing? He said, nothing. I said, right. Fancy going up to sex shops in Brum? Oh, yeah. He said, so I'll go to pick him up. I'll be going to Brum. Walked in this sex shop. A first for Bert. A first for me as well, of course, naturally. But a first for Bert. And I walked to the display and I'm looking at the display trying to think of something that I could do with some of this stuff. And I hear, Bert! And I said, where are you? Bert! And I walked in, there's this little alcove with all these books in. There's a couple of blokes in there in Macs. With holes in the pockets. And on the screen there's all this stuff going on. And I said, oh yes, Bert, yeah. And I says, I'm just going back to the display. So I go back to the display. And I chose a couple of vibrators so that I could mess about with the women while I'm doing my waitering business. And I hear, Bert! I thought, where the bloody hell is he now? And I look down the other end of the shop and he's going, I goes over and there's a couple of blokes having a nice time on a screen. I said, yeah, Bert, yeah. So I go to the counter and I said to this bloke, I said, excuse me. I said, you got any bigger strap-on cocks than that? What you got on show? He says, fuck me, mate. He said, how big do you want it? I thought, the biggest strap-on cock you've got. Fucking hell, he says, hang on. He goes, Mabel! And we hear from the back somewhere, what do you want? He says, come out here. And this old woman, she must have been 80 if she were today, comes out from behind the back, got a crutch, comes up the counter, click, 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 looks at me, says, what do you want? I want the biggest strap-on cock you've got. As she leans down the couch, she looks me in the face. As she stares into my eyes, I thought I'd asked a simple question. She said, I've got one round the back, but it's broke. So she says, I said, let's have a look then. So off she goes, click, 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 down the shop. Comes back 2 minutes later, got a box under her arm, click, 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 back up the counter. Puts it on the counter, pulls it off. And trust me, there was a proper strap-on cock in this box. I said, what's the matter with it? She said, it don't buzz. So Bert worked at the MEB for 40 years. He says, Bert says, I can mend this, he said. He got it in his hand and he's twisting it old knob. He said, I can mend this. He said, have it, Bert, have it. So I half price bought this thing. Paid for all my stuff and off he goes in the car. And we're coming through Brom and Bert's messing with this cock. And he can't, because of the vibration of the car, he can't tell whether it's buzzing. So he put the tip of the cock in his ear. And he's like this. He's like this, trying to get it going. We stopped at these traffic lights. We stopped at these traffic lights, and I looks across, and I've gone. I can't breathe. I can't drive, I can't see, I can't do anything. I'm just laughing so much. I'm sure we missed 3 changes of traffic lights. The car's behind the people. And I'm laughing, and he starts laughing. He's still like this. He's got this thing in his eye. He's laughing at me because I'm laughing. He said, what's the matter, bro? What's the matter? I said, just look to your left. And he's gone out this car. And there's these 2 women sat next to us in this car. And they go... It was just the funniest thing. Of course, he started laughing then, and I've gone again. And I can't breathe now. Anyway, we gets going. And what happened was, we got home and I've got this thing, and I decided to go with the Evesham Dangler. So I did my wagering bit. I had my balls felt a few times that night, I can tell you. Anyway, I got decided to go with the Evesham Dangler. Got my waders on. Got my fishing coat, nothing else. Just this thing tucked up inside this coat. So when it's my turn to go on, I'm doing the old da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, and all these women are all leaning on the stage and they're all singing along. I can see Di at the back of the room, stood on the table, clapping and cheering, and I'm dancing and giving it the old, and I flopped this thing out. Mate, you should have heard these women. Oh my God. So I take my coat off, and these women are all reaching for this thing, and I kneels down in front of them. Mate, they've got this thing, they're giving it some of this, they're giving it some of that. It's everywhere. And all these hands around it, and I'm thrusting it away and all this. And this woman said, it's her birthday. Get her up on the stage, it's her birthday. So they pushed this woman up on the stage. It was her 18th birthday. I said, "What? Are you up for a laugh or what?" She said, "Yeah, anything." So I was messing about with her, and I got her hands around this thing, and on her hands and knees, you know what I mean, all this sort of stuff. And then I turned around and put her on her hands and knees, and I got this thing between her thighs, and I've given her a right. It's between her thighs, nowhere else. Nowhere near her private, anything like that, between her thighs. And I'm giving her a good old roasting, and everybody's taking pictures, all her friends are taking pictures, and they're all cheering, and this woman I've got on her hands and knees is screaming, and my wife's stood at the back clapping and cheering. And anyway, it was a good night. They raised all the money they wanted to raise. I lost both my vibrators that I bought, and I also lost this massive strap on as well. So all I can say is somebody had a good night that night. Let's move on to Dennis O'Leary. Dennis, tall, good looking, fishes for whales, a gentleman, one of the true gentlemen of the sport. We're fishing at Twyford. He's on 96 and I'm on 94. To get to these pegs, you park at the top of on the side of the track, and you have to walk down this big slope. bottom of this slope has got like a piece of level grass about 15 feet long. And then you've got your steps down to your peg, then your platform. Right. I'm sat at my peg, and I just happened to be looking at Dennis. And he's got his box on, and he's got his rods and his poles, and he's shaking it all to get it all comfortable. And he's got 2 bags. Christ knows what he's got in these bags. It could have been a dead body in each. I don't know, the bags were that big. So he starts coming down this bank. And I watch him, and all of a sudden he picks up speed. And these bags go in front of him. And he's coming down the back. He's almost running. And I watch. He's at the bottom of this bank. He's gone along this flatbed, down his steps, along his platform, straight off the end into the river. I'm on my hands and knees again. I can't breathe. It's the funniest thing. And all I can hear is, Benny, get me out. I can't. Ah, God, I got tears in my eyes. So anyway, I goes and helps him. Gets all his stuff out, and I gets him. We get him out, and he strips off. And it was a lovely summer's day, and he got all his stuff lay on the brambles, and he sat all day fishing his underpants. Another funny story. There's a bloke in Evesham, an angler in Evesham. I don't mention no names, but everybody will know who it is. Nobody likes him. Right? He's a scrounger. He's as tight as a duck's arse. And I was fishing on the town this one day, and it was a Sunday, and I'd got to have this special X-ray on the Monday, and I'd got this bottle of preparation that I'd got to drink. God, it was fucking awful. It was horrible. It was thick, and it was just horrible. So this bloke's come walking on the bank. He said, God, he said, my throat's as dry as a witch's tit. He said, got a drink? And I said, yeah, what's up? He picked his bottle. Glug, 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 glug. He said, cut that fuck. What the fuck you know, sir? And I sat on my box. And I'm killing myself. I thought, that serves you right, you bastard. And he's gone off, and he's still gagging and coughing. I taught him my lesson. Anyway, it was a couple of weeks later. This same chap was walking on the river, and I was sat behind Tony Skinner. The match had just finished in the winter. This was in the winter. And Tony Skinner had done a flask of soup, and he emptied it, chucked it on the bank, on top of the bank. We're packing up with this gentleman that I was talking about that nobody likes. Comes walking on the bank, and he sits down behind us, and he's chatting away to Skinner, and I just tried and ignore him. He sat talking to Skinner, and he said, oh, look, some dirty bastard's been sick up here. And Skinner says, oh yeah, look, they got carrots. They picked these 2 carrots and put them in his mouth. This bloke said, oh, you dirty bastard. You dirty bastard. He goes walking off at the back gagging. And me and Skinner are absolutely pissing ourselves laughing. Where are we going to go next? Let's go to Christmas. Let's go to Christmas. I was driving lorries for Roberts. It was a bacon company in Evesham. And every Christmas, everybody had a turkey. Everybody in the factory had a turkey. And this company got their own club. They got these steps, this club, and they've got their own club. So the gang of us got the club after, and I'm on the strongbow as always. And I had a couple of pints, and then I had a couple more, and well, I was pissed basically. I was worse than pissed. Anyway, I comes out the club, I got my turkey under my arm. And I'm sort of like going up the road, holding onto the wall. Having to stop every now and again to have a rest. And I guess halfway home, and I've still got my turkey under my arm, I thought, I've got to have a sit down. Where can I have a sit down? So I guess to this barber's. I thought I'd sit in the barber's. So I goes in the barber, sits in the corner, got my turkey under my arm. And I get shook on the shoulder. This bloke says, come on, your turn. I said, what for? He said, haircut. I said, oh, fuck. So, because I sit in the chair and I got my turkey under my arm, he puts the cape over us and cuts me hair, and I pays him, and off I go home. Well, I get home and I banged on the door, and the wife opens the door and she just burst out laughing. She said, what have you done to your hair? I said, what do you mean? She said, have you seen your hair? I said, no. She said, have a look in the mirror. So I gave her my turkey. I said, there you are, my sweet Christmas dinner. So I gives her my turkey. And looks in the mirror. Well, you'd have thought the kid had been at it with a pair of scissors. There was lumps missing. I had a bit more hair than what I've got now. But there was lumps cut out of it, and it was just... You've never seen a mess like it in all your life. My missus said, what are you going to do? It's Christmas Eve. We're going out over Christmas. You can't go out like that. What are you going to do? I said, I ain't going to bother about it. She said, no, we can't be... I said, I'll go and see Sarah over the road. Sarah over the road was an hairdresser. She comes over with a pair of scissors and a comb, and she just burst out laughing. She said, whatever has happened to you? And I told her which barber I'd been. She said, oh, say no more. Say no more, she said. Let's see if we can sort you out. So she's clipping away, and they're chatting away and clipping away, and all I want to do is go to sleep. Anyway, she sorts me out, and that's my story of Christmas trip. Now, best man at my wedding, Jeff. Jeff, 6'4", 20 stone, no fat on him. Big man. But he was a lovely, lovely man. And I had so many good times with Jeff. Unbelievable. He says, this one day, he says, what are you doing tomorrow? I said, nothing. He said, right. He said, we'll go ferreting. I'd got ferrets. And he said, we'll go ferreting. I said, okay. He said, pick me up at 11. I said, 11 o'clock. It's a bit late, isn't it? He said, no, 11. I thought, yeah, I know what's going to happen here. So I picked him up at 11, and he said, I've got to go and pick some money up from Almley. I thought, yeah. The plough at Almley served this cider that's green, and it is horrible. And if you're a local, they'll let you have 1 pint. If you're a visitor, you can have half a pint. That's how bad it was. I didn't like the stuff. It was like drinking treacle. But Jeff had a pint. He always used to, when he finished his drink, wipe the rim of the glass around his... He says, go and get me another video. I said, I can't till they let you have one. She said, tell her it's for you, and go and get me one. So I go, pint of cider. Anyway, he gets his second pint down. He said, right, let's go ferreting. And he gets in the car and he's sort of got this glow about him. He's all red in the face and he's sort of like giggling, and off we go to the railway siding. I said, do you want to do this, Jeff? And he said, yeah, let's do it. He said, put the net round. So I started putting the net round the oars. And Jeff's got the ferret out and he's playing with her. He's holding her up and her's running around his hands and all sorts. So by this time, Jeff's giggling. And I said, Jeff, I said, put her in. I said, and take that top hole. Because rabbits never come out the top hole. I said, put her in, top hole. And he's up the top and he's like a wicket keeper. He stood there, waiting. And he's giggling. And it's instantly you can hear the rabbits running about in the warren, the ferrets in there. And I've had a couple come out and I've gone out the net and pulled the necks and chucked them down the bank. And all of a sudden I just, and this rabbit's come out of this net, this hole. It's hit the net, it's hit Jeff in the chest, he's gone over backwards, he's gone through brambles, he's gone through stinging nettles, he's gone through thistles, he's gone through, he's laying at the bottom of this bag, he's cut and he's bleeding and he's scratched and he's laughing his head off, lay on the floor. And of course I've gone again. And I'm on my knees and I just can't do it anymore. I've cracked all the nets up and when the ferrets come out, put her in a box and I was in that. But it was just so funny, this great big 20-stone bloke rolling down this bank. Jeff. I love Jeff to bits. Let me think of another story about Jeff. There's got to be another story. I talked Jeff to trout fishing. And he, first time we went out, he's had one about £5. I couldn't believe it. Jammy git. He said to me this one day at work, he says, what are you doing Sunday morning? I said, I've got no plans, boy. He said, we'll go pot fishing. I said, okay. He said, don't bring any rods. Don't bring any reels. He said, I've got it sorted. I said, what do you mean bring no rods? He said, trust me. He said, trust me, don't bring anything. I said, okay, mate. So I goes over, picks him up. I said, where are we going? He said, Fladbury Brook. He's got no rods, got no reels, nothing. I said, are you winding me up here, mate? He said, no. He said, trust me. I said, okay, I'll trust you. So off we go to Fladbury Brook. This brook is about 8 feet wide. It's gin clear. You can see every leaf on the bottom. We're walking along the brook and Jeff's looking up in the trees. And I'm sort of like looking around for the cameras. I'm thinking this is a stitch up if ever I've seen one. And all of a sudden Jeff's up this tree. And he lifts his coat out and he's pulled this knife out that Crocodile Dundee would have been proud of. It was huge and it was as sharp. And he starts sacking at this branch. And he loads his branch down to me. So that's yours, he said. And he climbed down the trees and he's trimmed all the bits off. And got the end of the branch. He's cut a slit about 1 inch long in the end of his branch. He said, that's yours, mate. I said, okay. I said, what are we going to do? We're going to spear him or what? He said, no. He said, trust me. I said, okay. So we walked a bit further. And all of a sudden he's up in this tree again, with his knife. He comes down, he's got this big branch and he's cutting all the bits off. Cuts a slit in the end. He said, right, now let's go pike fishing. And we're walking along and he's looking into the brook. And I'm looking at the wildlife and the trees and the birds. And he stopped. He said, there's one. I looked into this brook. I couldn't see anything. He said, there's one. He reaches into his inside pocket of his coat, pulls out a rabbit snare. Ties this rabbit snare to the end of this pole. And he actually pushed the wire of this rabbit snare into the slit. So you've got your pole and a round ring of wire on the end. So he pushes this towards the water. Pushes it into the water. Pushes the wire into the soft mud. Starts moving it backwards ever so slow. I thought, what's he doing? Because I can't see anything. He said, ready, mate? I said, ready for what? He said, what's this? He got whack! And this pike has come out of this mud. Oh, mate, what a burst of speed. And this pike shot at the water. And it's tail walking and it's thrashing around and he's hanging onto it. And I'm laughing because I've never seen anything like it in my life. And he's got this thing and it's thrashing around. And he said, let's go backwards. He's pulling this thing backwards. He pulled it up the bank. And it's there on the bank and he's got his knife out. Smack! Give it a smack. Killed it. I just sat on the floor laughing. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I said, fucking hell, bro. I said, how did you learn to do that? He said, your turn, mate. So we're walking around the bank and look, what are we looking for, mate? He said, I'll tell you when I see one. So he looked, he said, there's one. I said, where? And he pointed it out. And all you could see in the water was the half-moon shape of the pike's mouth. That's all you could see. Just where his mouth was out of the water and taking the occasional breath. So he ties this rabbit snare to the end of your pole and pushes it wire into the slit. He said, do what I did, he said. And he's told me where to put it in the water. He said, no, move it back slowly. Soaring backwards and forwards, move it back slowly. He said, you've got to get it behind the pike's gills. So he said, that'll do. He said, no, give it one. So I whack! Fucking assholes. I thought this thing was going to pull me in. It was jumping around, it was thrashing, it was tail walking, and I'm trying to hang on to it. And I thought, I'm going to go in a minute. I'm going to go in it. The power, I've never seen anything like it. So he grabs onto me, he pulls me back and he pulls his pike up the bank, gets his nose back. Ah, mate, I tell you, we've had, I think it was 13 that day. And he got them all in bags. I said, what are you going to do with them? He says, take them up the Indian. This is what they use for their fish stew. Ah, dear me. I'm going to tell you about a friend of mine now called Stu Polser. Stu is another lovely man. I love him to bits. He's got his own electrician company and very good angler. And he likes a curry and he likes Guinness, which is not a good mix, is it really? And we were over at Stratford fishing the Stratford Winter League. And we were at Luddington. And he was below me. No, above me, sorry. And I'm setting up and he's come walking on back. He said, all right, Stu, he said, my stomach. He said, I've got to go in the bushes, mate. He said, my stomach. So off he's gone into the woods. And you got to remember at this time of the year we were all wearing one-piece suits with hoods and stuff. And he comes out to this thing and you could smell it before he got to it. I said, fucking hell, mate. I said, what are you doing? He said, oh, I've only shitted me hood, didn't I? And he put this hood on. And he got all this black shit. It was all in his hair, it was all down his collar, and it was everywhere. smell. It was fucking awful. And he's gone down to his peg and he's sort of washed his head in the water, the river water, and he's got some of it off. We fished the match and we got back to the clubhouse and we made him sit in the corner on his own because the stink, God, it was awful. Well, that was just a little story about Stuart Pulse. Well, I'm going to end this first video with a story about Twyford Pool. I was walking up Twyford Pool and we used to fish it a lot at the time. And I'm walking around and Stuart Godfrey sat on the bank. And he's laughing his head off. And his trainee is actually stood in the pool in a pair of waders. He's got this, holding on to this handle which was under the water. And he's just laughing his head off. He can't breathe, he's in one of them. He's in that situation I get myself into. And I sit down by Stuart and I laugh, sits down and he's laughing. I said, what are you laughing at, mate? He says, what's this? He said, what's this? He says, Ian, hit that post. And this kid, big, tall, thin, straggly kid, lifts this 14-pound lump hammer out the sledgehammer out the water, lifts it above his head. And this post, it's a proper 6-inch post. He's took a swipe at this post and he's missed it by a foot. It's gone in the water and it has splashed him all over. He's laughing and Stuart's laughing and I'm laughing. And I said, what's the matter with him, mate? He said he's just had his first joint. And I still see this kid around town now, and I do remind him about it. I've just got time for one more quick one, and then I'll finish this video. My mum, bless her, when she passed away, she had this budgie called Grey, and we as a family inherited Grey when she passed away. And this bird was behind my chair and it used to grind its beak together and it used to drive me to distraction. And I thought, yeah, one of these days, mate, you're going to cop it. And we had this bird for quite a while, actually. And then it developed this ball of shit hanging off its feathers by its bum. So I thought, well, I can't leave that like that. So I just, I sorted it out. So I grabbed hold of this bird. And it was horrible. It was taking chunks out of my thumb and it was biting me all over the place, squawking. And I turned it over and I grabbed hold of this ball. And it was like a marble. It was that hard. It was just solid. So I thought, well, I can't cut it off because that'll hurt the bird. So I thought I'd drip some water on it. So I go to the kitchen and my son follows me and he stood by the side of it. And I turned the tap on only so that it's just dripping, drip, drip. And I hold this bird out into this thing. And this first drop of water, the very first drop of water, has landed on this ball of poo. And this budgie's gone. Dead as a dough. It's dead, mate. It's gone. I looked at it, and my son looked at it, and he looked at me. He shouts, "Mum! Dad's murdered the budgie!" Oh, mate. Just a reminder that all these stories and a lot more are in this book of Badsey Boy. You can get it off Amazon. You can get it off Amazon. Tenner. It's a very good boy. I've made this first video, and I intend to make 2 more. So if you like the first one, look out for the second one. You can buy all my books from Amazon. But to order them, you can go on my website. You can see all the books in my range. There's kids books, there's novels, there's all sorts of stuff. And there's a link from every book to Amazon. And almost all my books are now on ebooks. So if you don't want to buy a book, buy an ebook, cheaper. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Cheers, mate. Bye bye.